Okay, YouTubers, space detectives, space geeks and pareidolia police. Today we are going to be looking at some more images of Gale Crater taken by the Curiosity Rover, and mainly we're going to be looking at this GIGAPAN. Now this is an awesome GIGAPAN. This really is quite awesome. I did a GIGAPAN of this the other day, but mine's only in black and white. This one's in colour. Today we are looking down here in the bottom right corner. It wouldn't be a petrified animal, would it, by any chance? And then I looked at it a bit closer and I thought, yeah, that's a petrified animal. In fact, it looks like some kind of bear type creature. And when you get in real close, now I haven't done anything to this. This is as the image is. I haven't touched it in any way. This is the GIGAPAN. I didn't compile this image, but I can confirm it's there because I've done my own GIGAPAN of the area, and it's in there as well. So let's get in close. Right, there we are. Now, let your eyes adjust a bit. Now look at this eye. There's an eye here. This is the head. We have an arm. We have a body coming round, and we have what's a part of it, upper part of the leg here. And if you go in really close, I'll zoom right in as far as it will go, and look around the snout area here. We've got the eye, remains of an eye here, a kind of eye socket, a kind of brokenish eye socket there, and a snout here with nostrils, and there are teeth here. Now you can't see them very well. I can't zoom in much further. Oh, I can actually. Now look really carefully. This is a bit dark and it's a bit dull, but when you brighten this up, all we've got to do is take a screenshot of this, right, and then brighten it up, and you'll see that there's teeth in here. I'll show you the detail, then I'll show you some articles that back up my theory on this. I'm not just making this stuff up. I've been researching Mars for many, many years, since the 1970s in fact, and I've always been fascinated by it. So I'll go into more about that in a minute. Let me show you the detail here. We have an arm. Okay, there's an arm. A leg coming down here, like this. There's something here, like almost like it's holding something. The other arm comes down here, like that. Then we have the head that comes around like this. So it's a bit hard to tell with some of this stuff because you've got similar coloured stuff behind it. So you've got to kind of work out what's in front and what's behind. This blue material is behind it, I think. And the head comes round. Okay, so that's the general shape. Okay, fairly simple, right? We've got an eye here. Okay, just there. We've got another one here, but that's damaged. It's kind of cracked. We've got a nice socket there. And what amazed me was the snout detail. We have a nose here, like a snout, almost like a dog snout there. But dogs and bears are kind of related. They're in a similar sort of family, I think, of mammals. I can't remember what it's called now. And we got the snout coming down here and the chin here. Okay, so there's the snout, and you can even see in here teeth. We've got hair detail. Now, if this thing was preserved very quickly, like it may have been frozen, as well as mineralized in the salt and sulfurous material on the ground, in the sedimentary layers here. So this may have been preserved extremely quickly and freeze dried almost in a matter of hours or a couple of days. The atmosphere on Mars may have been destroyed very, very rapidly. There is an atmosphere there, but it may have. Yeah, and it may well be recovering from the cataclysm that happened on Mars probably millions of years ago. But it may have been a lot more recent than that. This may not be an actual fossil as such. The mineralization process takes thousands and thousands or even millions of years to make a fossil. I actually think that these are not fossils in that sense. I think these are salt mummies, okay? These are preserved, petrified animals, frozen, and then salt and sulfur preserved. And I'm going to show you something there to prove this. We have this place here. The lake, this lake turns animals to calcified statues. Now this is an article on this site called Roaring Earth here. This is fascinating, by the way. And I'm not going to read you all of it. But there's a lake in Africa called Lake Natron, okay? And this photographer went there and he found loads of petrified, preserved birds and animals and stuff by the side of this lake. And he's taken these photographs of these animals and he's sort of placed them on rocks and branches and stuff to make them look like they're still alive. Now, what this lake is a very, very alkaline lake. It's got very, very high salt and mineral content. And what happens is animals either go to drink from it or fall in it and are literally completely covered in salt and minerals and they go rock hard and turn into salt mummies. A similar process is used for mummification of people in places like Egypt. They use salt and other minerals to make mummies, right? What it does, it desiccates the animal or person, sucks the moisture out, and then it kind of dries hard, okay? This is a natural process. Now, there's an animation of the lake here. Now, there are animals that live on the lake and in it, but there's only like one species of fish, small fish, that live there in this very, very caustic or alkaline, I should say, water. It's called the Red Lake, Lake Natron. And pink flamingos live there. And there's a type of algae that grows in this lake, and the flamingos eat it, and they go red or pink, right? Gale Crater may have been very much like this in its latter stages, and may have become very, very alkaline indeed. And the mineral content of the water would make it very difficult to survive if you fell in it, right? It's also very, very hot as well. Now, Gale Crater, I do think, is much warmer than other parts of Mars, mainly because of it's so low down. It's 4.5 kilometers below the surface of Mars. It's right down, okay? So there would be thermal heat coming up from the ground, and there may be thermal vents and water coming up from below the surface of Mars, some of which may be very, very rich in these minerals of sulfur and salts and other minerals. And if you fell into it, you would end up petrified and preserved in salt, like this. If you just do a Google search, animals turned to stone, and press images, you'll get all these pictures come up, okay? There's a bat. This is incredible. The detail is amazing. These are basically salt mummies that have been petrified in minerals. They've fallen in, they got covered in minerals, and then basically the minerals have sucked the moisture out of them, preserving their remains, okay? I've done many, many videos on Gale Crater, in fact hundreds and hundreds, and I've been saying since 2012 that this was an oasis, and only recently have NASA come out and said this. So it seems that I'm ahead of them by about 5 or 6 years for some reason. Now, is that because they're complacent, or are they just being deliberately vague? Are they being strategically vague? Yes, they are. The problem is, if NASA were to admit that there are petrified animals and remains all over the Gale Crater, as well as buildings and things like guns and other objects lying around, if they were to admit that, then we wouldn't be allowed to colonize Mars, because there was a treaty that we signed back in, I think, 1967, the space treaty, that says we are not allowed to weaponize space, but also we're not allowed to contaminate planets with ourselves and our viruses and that kind of thing. So if we just went there, and there was already evidence of a civilization, then we'd be breaking the space treaty. So they're not going to break the law, hence they will not tell us these things are there, because they want to colonize Mars. They want to send people to Mars, and they will be going there within a matter of 5 or 10, 15 years. We don't know exactly. This could explain the level of preservation we're seeing on Mars. Also countering to that, the lack of oxygen and moisture in the air, and you have perfect conditions for preserving not only animals and creatures, but people. Okay? Thanks for watching. See you soon.